Hello, did you know that our fellow occultists from Europe do sex magic in order to get possessed by extraterrestrial demons in order to impregnate our planet with ideas of those alien forces? It's not something that I came up with, okay? I'm reading this book by a renowned occultist, actually a successor of Aleister Crowley, and that's exactly what he described. That they have this special ritual where there is window facing on the ceiling, and the girl is laying, and as she is coming, she vibrates
Climaxing.
holy words, and as she climaxes, she vibrates holy words in order to see something that is in mirror that comes into her and that then get possession of her. And so there is yeah, that's so dumb. That sounds so dumb, but I think it's true. I think that's what actually is happening. Those people talk about channeling books, not about writing them by any means, but that they tap into currents and they are able, through tapping to those currents, manifest like pieces of art, basically, that are like,
Impactful to the society as a whole. I mean, the system that you're talking about, it's actually kind of interesting. You've told me about this a few days ago, and I did look into it. And so, what this supposed, I guess you could call it a system of belief says is that there are certain types of people that are coming onto this world, different forces. And well, you have the forces of evil and forces of good. So the distinction between them is, I think, categorized as star people and moon people. Whereas the star
well, that
people
was
are the good
that was
forces.
something different. That was something different because
I mean, it's a new
Crowley.
age concept. Uh, so basically, the star people, it's not connected to like the occultism. It's more of a, I guess you could call it a classification of souls. It
Yeah, you
was,
mean Starseed?
yeah, a star seed basically. It was written by Brad Steiger, and technically you could even do your own test of
Don't you
which
think that
star
it's
seeds are you.
spiritual narcissism?
I don't know. The way you talked about people bringing in those forces, don't you think that those children, or at least those entities that are conceived this way, don't think of themselves highly as well, knowing their inherent power?
Yeah, but the thing is, they are saying that those forces are extraterrestrial. And by how they are described, they seem to be like they from another universe. Like there is literally a portal here on Earth after the
Many
World War
portals.
II. Many portals after the World War II, where we detonated our first nuclear weapons, and it created a hole in the space-time, basically. And now they have access to our realm. There is this book, the Book of the Forgotten Ones, written by one of the adepts from the OTO, and it talks about very similar concepts to those from the H.P. Lovecraft books. And they basically believe that they don't know how. Well, they do know that basically H.P. Lovecraft was such a good artist that his, let's say, senses were so developed that he was able to see behind the veil and tap to the current and then write a book based on what he was receiving, like an antenna.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about all those mad geniuses. I mean, for example, right now I am also reading a few articles by Nikola Tesla, and one of the most important and one of the most interesting for me was the problem of increasing human energy. And while reading this, a thought came to my mind is that usually the most brilliant of minds, or those that you would call even mad sometimes, with the huh, with the scope of their vision, they tend to be those people who are some sort of spiritually attuned to the universe.
Yeah,
I
that
mean, for
might be one
example,
thing.
both Tesla and Lovecraft were known outcasts, as in isolationists. They spent much of their time alone, without people, and both of them didn't really have the company of another, or for example, a woman. So it was interesting to look from his perspective how he came to understand his own vision, and he talked about receiving actually the visions of concepts which he later on put into like the sphere of material. So what you're saying is, well, true. In a way, all of us are sort of connected, but some minds are much more attuned, I think, and they can
Yeah,
actually see the beyond the veil.
yeah, antennas. They pick up on frequencies and they are able to transcribe them into our language.
True. I mean, even Tesla himself said that it wasn't necessarily the way what he was shown, more how he felt about it, what it could do. He wasn't even able to describe those things. He just knew that he was able to construct them. So I think there is like two different outlooks on the way the human mind functions. So there is uh, I guess you could call it the mind left right. At least in human design, there is this notion that the mind can either be left, which is a strategic mind, and that has a good self motivation. It remembers only the necessary stuff that is used in order to survive, to motivate yourself to external factors. And then there is the right mind. So this is more a contemplative mind, which is waiting for opportunities and is acting more as an observer. And in this case, the right minded people are more attuned to the universe, they are more psychic.
Well, yeah, but I would describe the difference between left and right hemisphere as left is more so intellect, right is more emotions, visions, something like
True,
that.
it is much more
Yeah,
artistically.
artistic, exactly, exactly. But you know what is interesting to me? In Islam, there is this concept that genes, so that could be loosely translated to demons from our Christian tradition, are basically beings of electricity. And when you then look at the seals of Solomon's, that becomes quite interesting that all of those mad geniuses tap into certain technologies that they bring onto this earth. And from my observation, I don't think that technology benefits human existence. I think that in most cases it enslaves us and it leads to more suffering as a result. That you need to be really capable of utilizing technology instead of being used by it, because it's like really doubling with demons using technology. You can either use them for good or get used them by them, or get used by them, and it's really quickly when the tables turn, in my experience at least. So that's
It's
interesting
a
that this invasion
binary
by the
experience.
extraterrestrial might just be that those ideas that I was alluding to earlier are simply technologies or ideas that then we manifest onto this reality, and they are not from this reality, so they are not compatible with this reality, yet they reign supreme as they are very powerful tools.
I guess you could call it even a cosmic blueprint. I think this
What?
would be the best idea to describe those ideas that we uh, see from those visions, those people receive from the universe or from those forces. It's a blueprint which you can later on use to bring it down to this plane. And whether if it's used for good or bad, I think it depends only on the person that is utilizing it. So there is this notion of, I guess, personal accountability.
Would you
Uh,
agree that blueprint could be, simply put, archetype?
I don't think so, because archetypes kind of explain a certain state of matter, whereas I think blueprints is just it. It's an instruction and a manual that you can use in order to make something. Archetypes serve more as a classification of things. So, going back to like the first sentence of yours, you know, those demons manifested and those star people, star seeds, those are, I would call, archetypes, you know, and the archetype of
Hmm.
good, the archetype of evil, the archetype of a neutral force affecting this plane. And a blueprint is, I think, kind of objective. You know, you bring it down onto this world. It's just an instruction that you use in order to create something. But how do you utilize it? It depends on the person, right? Same with technology. So I wouldn't necessarily say and agree with you that technology is inherently evil. If
Yeah, I
not
didn't
for
say
the
that either.
yeah, but anyway, like the way we use technology right now, yeah, it's derogatory. Of course, I mean, I don't think any of us are completely on the clear, and so using the technology only positively, only, for the purpose of actually expanding. I think most of us do use uh, the technology for pleasure, uh, in any way you interpret it. Um, but
Or
yeah,
for distraction, because
I
really
guess
people
yeah,
are
yeah,
so tortured and abused by this system that is at play that they just want to scrape their minds, their thoughts. And
yeah.
well, we're not
But
taught
but
how to
like
deal
at the
with
end of
too over.
can I finish? But at the end of the day, it's more of the idea. The blueprint itself isn't bad.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's how it is utilized, and I think that behind those things, there are not necessarily very good people with good intentions at heart, but the line of good and evil is splits every human heart. So it is. I botched it so hard. Line between good and evil runs through every human heart. That's what I meant to say. And with that in mind, it's that like, what type of system do we have at play? If the system rewards degenerate behavior from others, then well, it's gonna be abused, and then it's gonna be used. And basically, all of dark magic is about manipulation. How can you manipulate people in order to give, in order to get more money from them, in order to enslave them, take away their capacity, their will to change their lives? How can you do that? And you do that by various means. For example, Bill Gates owns many major American fields. For example, he is very influential in the field of farming, and what he's done in America is he's basically allowed this poisonous pesticide that is terrible for anything that eats the crops that this thingy was used on. And that's like the only thing allowed for most farmers in America. So that's like, it's cheap. He gets money out from that because he had money to buy all of that. So now he benefits and we all get more sick. That's like how this reality is set up. So you have sick people that don't even that are not even healthy, that get those godlike tools that is technology, because you can access every bit of information from your phone. That's like godlike technology, literally. Yet we're not taught how to utilize, and we are all so abused and unhealthy that we just want to watch funny cats on TikTok. That's my point.
True. I mean, it's a. So I saw a meme, I guess you could call it, a few days ago, which basically says that World War III has already started, but it's not a physical one; it's a spiritual one.
Yes,
It's
any type of warfare is spiritual.
yeah, and right now, like the amount of will and self-preservation, I guess you could even call it, and just how much you have to watch yourself not to be consumed by it. Uh, it's it, it's incredibly hard because the way so the only way humanity, I guess you could call it, can ascend in this um, program that we're running right now is by individuation, and through individuals we can only start shaping, because as you've kind of hinted at, the major corporations, I guess you could even call it governments, do we really know if they're on our side? I don't know.
They are fucking poisoning
They are
us, and
there's so much hypocrisy right now. So where do we start? Where do we begin? Well, at our own level. No, it's through individuation, through relying on oneself and not the others. Can we actually, I think, shape it? Because yeah, for now, I guess most of those that are rewarded are, you know, either the dark magicians or the ones manipulating and utilizing others for their own good. But I see, like, at the end of the day, like a shining star in front of us that maybe, just maybe, we can make it by sticking to our own values, not giving up, even though it might seem tempting to, and um, just
yeah,
pessimistic at the end of the day, depressing. But yeah, I think through carrying out and pushing forwards despite the difficulties, there is at the end of the day some hope.
yeah, I agree. But it depends on what you mean by like preserving the humanity, because humanity will preserve itself either way. I'm way more black-pilled than you. I think that we might need a reset, like a global cataclysm to get us out of this situation. Basically, the same thing that happened to uh, Atlant-
Atlantis.
Atlantis? Yeah,
Atlantis,
Atlantis,
yeah.
exactly. That, like, there is this strange type of worship of the sun in some cultures in the America, and that that's a theory. That basically what we're doing with an AI is we're making the body for the demiurge to come onto this earth, and sun has this very particular property that it is able through the solar rays to disable all technology if it chooses so, to basically make a global reset, because that what would happen without any technology at play in our realm at the moment. And if you look at the book of Revelation, that oh, the Messiah is coming, he will save the earth again, etc., etc., and you look at correlations Jesus has with sun, that there are 12 disciples, how there are 12 zodiacal signs, how he died on the cross and rose again, how sun dies on the winter solstice and resurrects and starts its movement upwards again, then you might think that basically the story of Revelation is about solar blasting the earth as the sun will save us. But it won't be a nice save. It will be a cataclysm that comes to the earth to say goodbye, technology.
I don't know. I honestly haven't really theorized as of yet. I guess you could call me like living under a rock right now because I really don't know what is happening. Like, yeah, I am aware of those bigger things like the recent elections and etc. But at the end of the day, right now, what I've been doing is just focusing on myself because I think as a general rule right now, a typical person has it much harder than like spiritually saying like has it much harder. So I know there are those big things which are at play, um, the cosmic blueprints, the meta narratives, the narratives themselves. But right now, I think like the most important person is me, and it is selfish, incredibly selfish, but
No, it's the
it
way.
feels better. Yeah, it is the
It's
way.
the way.
It's
There
the
is
way.
no other way, in fact. You can't save anyone unless you're saved yourself.
Yeah, the only person you can rely on is well yourself.
Yeah, but
It's funny.
what? Mm-hmm.
No, no, you
Continue.
can.
Yeah, so I was trying to say that, to me at least, how I see this, let's say, spiritual journey for me at the moment is that I don't know if we're gonna survive for even 15 years as a species. I don't know if I'm gonna be alive in 15 years. All I know is that I'm here to rectify my karma, rectify the evil that I did, be the best person that I can be, and make the best out of the moments I still have on Earth to live to the fullest, but at the same time make the most goodness in the world that I can to prepare myself to death, to die with the purest heart that I can attain.
Do you
Because what
believe in
else can
quantum
you do?
shifts?
What are quantum shifts?
So
What
it's
are you
very funny.
referring to?
So what you're saying is like you don't know if you'll be alive in 15 years, and it's like major black pill right here. So I have to come in and kind of counterbalance it with, I don't know. If you don't know, why set yourself up for the worst outcome? Why not set yourself for the better outcome? And like going back to those like forces and timelines even and narratives, like quantum shifts. So supposedly there are infinite amount of Earth's infinite amount of timelines. Each time there is like a major decision or a major, some would say, astrological happenings, you could jump into the best timeline possible, right? Like you basically choose to become and to go with the best path possible. So what you're saying right now is, oh, so I believe that in this timeline I am not going to be alive in 15 years. And I'm saying, I don't know. I'll see. I actually want to live a bit longer, experience a bit more. It's just like setting yourself up to fail in the first at the first moment, at the first step.
Yeah, there is this argument that Christianity is basically anti-vitality religion, that it is a death cult. But it might very well be. I see the arguments for it. But I think that when you're on the deathbed and you're about to transit to like a different reality, different state of consciousness, then the condition of your heart is really important. If you done good in the world, if you done bad in the world, it really matters. I think that anything that you don't resolve as long as you are alive, you're wasting time. So a question that for me at least is very instrumental in my journey is, if I died today, would I be satisfied with how I lived my life? And when I can answer yes, because I lived well, then okay, like my heart is in a good condition. But when I can't answer yes, oh, there are problems, there are things to resolve, there are things to do, there is something to change inside of me. something to heal, something to rectify.
I would say not yet. You know,
Not yet what?
not yet.
Not
It's not time to go yet. There's so
it,
much more to experience, so much more to do. If those are going to be mistakes, sure, I'll learn. If those are going to be greatest decisions ever, let's go. I did well. But I'm not setting myself up to this fatalistic even mindset that you, you yourself kind of have. Um, no, I don't know.
you,
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't known for the longest time. Only recently do I actually kind of know myself and what am I good at? What do I even want to do? What do I want to study? And so my answer to this question is I don't know yet. Not yet. Not yet. Because it's like I've only begun right now. Why should it come to an end so quickly? Make the best of what I have. And so what I'm saying is I'm not setting myself up with this, oh, it's the end, I have to do so much before. I'm kind of more the chill guy vibe. We'll see. It is what it is. We'll see.
in Stoicism, there is a big emphasis on meditating on death. That memento mori doesn't come necessarily from Stoicism; it comes rather from medieval Christianity. But I think it's a good motto. Remember about death. Remember that your days are counted either way, and you don't have a time to waste. That there is basically always something more that you can do, something more that you can be. So I just think it's good in a way, as that's a source of energy, but you have to be careful with that idea. Because if you become restless from it, then that's a recipe for a disaster and a burnout.
True, it happens. It always has happened. But supposedly, the forces at play and the constant battle there is between, I don't know, star seeds, the moon people, the demons, the angels, and everything on this very plane. Why not try and go with the flow and just see what happens and not set yourself up for the inevitability of something? It's like, I know it's kind of out there, but at this point, I have reduced my beliefs to we'll see what happens. Um, what I wanted to talk about is like recently one of my friends, I was like talking with them and he's like, gee, I don't know what is happening. Like, I really don't know. And I'm like, yeah, neither do I. So I just like, surrender yourself to the warm embrace of Lady Fate. This is what I said to him. And
That's beautiful.
it's kind of what I've basically been doing right now. So if is there a fate for each one of us? I think so. Yeah, I think everyone has their fate. That some of us have it more personal. Some of us have a set fate, and some of us have the fate which is influenced by others. But at the end of the day, there is this something at the end, and I mean you can trash about, you can do whatever you do, but I mean, at a certain point, you either reach acceptance and you just try making the best of it, or you basically spend your entire days just being in the negativity. For example, yesterday I was talking with my friends and some sort of conversation came up with like those people who are like gifted with clairvoyance, with knowing things, and so my friend, she said that her grandmother has prophetic dreams in case of, for example, if there is someone who appears in her dream, as in, for example, the person in their family, she immediately calls them and says her goodbyes. Why? Because that person dies the next day. And what she said is that basically she predicted the death of her husband, she predicted the death of her brother, I think, and so it was, or even her mother, and it was like it happened every single time. And she says that, well, yeah, those things happen. Those people, there is clairvoyance, there is some sort of thing that is going to happen. And we've even touched upon the notion of deja vu, and she has it similar to me. So, what happens with those deja vus? You have certain dreams that happen. So, for example, places, people, and then they are reflected within the reality. So, for example, I've had a dream of being in some sort of a confined space with a lot of flashing lights. I didn't even remember the dream itself. I just remember the the colors. I remember the noise, and I remember basically me being and sitting there. What happened, like, I don't even remember how long after this. What happened is I came back from one of my friends in the mountains, and another friend was like, "Oh, yo, you just came back. You wanna hang out? You wanna go for a walk?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm feeling like walking." And we went around the city, and we went to this old building which had a passage, like a corridor. Yes, a corridor. And in this corridor there was this club which had exact flashing lights. It had exact like noise surrounding me, and I was sitting there, and I just like stood up, and I was like, "Yo, this is like deja vu. This is happening." So what I'm trying to say is that I guess there is fate, and some people can tap into that. So why not surrender yourself to it and expect the best things?
Are you more of are you more of a person of the free will or fate? How do you reconcile this paradox?
I guess there is free will in the way you deal with fate.
Mm, I have similar conclusions.
So, for example, I guess at a certain point, some people know what they're in on about. So, as a kid that just knows that they're going to be an astronaut, and they just like know it inherently. And even if somebody tells them, "No, you're not going to do it. You're not going to go anywhere," they just know it happens. They just know those things. They feel them like they're real, and they don't let others convince them otherwise. And well, what do you know? They become them. So
Yes, exactly.
if there are those things as a kid which you knew, maybe come back to those memories. Maybe come back to those dreams, wishes, because
Y-
maybe it is exactly what will happen. Maybe it is
You know
exactly
what's
what
interesting?
will be. What?
You know what's interesting? I I have like some sort of a messiah complex myself. I guess we all have either or victim, abuser, or messiah complex. That's like a trio that most people are somewhere in or play two roles depending on their relationship, etc., etc. But what I had as child was when I watched my brother play Gothic, and there was our main character, and he was the chosen one, and I was like, wow, life would be so dumb and null if you were not a chosen one, huh? And this was like a big thing for me at that moment because I was like, well, if I'm not a chosen one, then why should I be alive at all? And maybe I am in some sort, maybe we all are, but not necessarily to play the main character, but play our character in the divine drama that is at play. Put our bricks into the castle of God that will rectify this earth. I don't know.
Neither do I. But why not? I believe myself to be chosen one. I believe myself to be chosen for some reason. And the more I set my mind like, yeah, it is true, it is correct, the more, I mean, the less I fear. Because the most fear in the life is not knowing what comes next. So the inevitability of fate and the notion that the actions of past will come back uh, to haunt me back. You know, just like those demons coming back at you and saying, it's like wanting to stab you from behind. And one of the best songs I've come across, it's called "Slow Down" by Slow Jack, and I don't remember how do you call it in English, but basically the middle text is like, "Slow down, I'm addicted to the lifestyle. Everyone wants me now that I'm a winner." And it's just like, why not this mindset? Like everything wants you. You are a winner. You are chosen for something.
Yeah, I
Why?
guess
Why?
that's the
Like,
play.
yeah, I kind of fear for my future sometimes. I fear for the past that will come back or not, preferably not. But yeah, at this point, I just said, "Fuck it." I'm surrendering myself to the warm embrace of the lady fate. And so far, I don't really. I cannot complain. Yeah, in this manner, I
Yeah,
cannot complain.
you will be taken care of. You will always be taken care of. But it's all about the quality of your thoughts, about the seeds that you plant in your garden and are growing, and about not not actually harvesting out the bad seeds, but letting the good seeds take out the bad seeds. And
Yes.
this process happens by withdrawing attention from the things that don't serve you. You struggle with watching TikTok too much? Well, just stop, and instead of doing nothing about it, do something about it. Implement a certain behavior, certain action you take each day that will take you away from TikTok. Because, for example, if you want to be fresh, if you want to write articles, then it really doesn't fit together because it
Don't
fries your
watch the
brain.
videos. Don't watch the videos about writing. Write.
Yes, exactly. Do be.
So there was this video on YouTube. I think I don't know by whom, but it was you've consumed it enough. God wants you to start creating. It's kind of
Yes.
funny. It's kind of funny. You just yeah, you can just do stuff. You know, you
Yeah,
can just do
you
stuff.
can just
It's
do
like
stuff.
it's so like basic, but at the same time, you're just like, whoa, I have free will in what I want to do, in what I can do. No, it's like
Yeah.
I love watching others do so things, and then you're like, well, I'm not doing anything with myself, am I? So
Ah,
yeah, it's those
here
little
it is.
things, it's those little
Yeah.
things. Like, of course,
Yeah, and
the grand things that I want to achieve, that I mean, that are the desires, even from a kid's perspective, the desires I have, they still stay within me, and I just know that in some way I will get to them. But since I cannot do them right now, what can I do right now? What can I do right now?
well, the small actions each day and maybe some patience, some waiting, some development, some natural growth. Because the changes will come either way. It's whether you're prepared for them or not. Either will they tear your life apart, or you will welcome them with a warm embrace. But that depends on how you live your everyday, and that's what matters,
In a way,
I
you're
think.
laying your own cosmic blueprint. In this
Cosmic
case, so
Castle.
yeah, cosmic castle blueprint, call it whatever you want. And well, if fate so chooses, if you want to like become this person, just set yourself up for, I don't know, receiving something. Open your mind to the genius that might come, open your mind to the concepts that just might arrive from the extraterrestrials or from any sort of place. It's just like I've set myself up for this. Like, in a way, sometimes I didn't want to use my brain. Right now, I'm like, yeah, I'm waiting for those genius thoughts. I'm waiting for those concepts. I'm waiting for the way that I can use my own mind to use them to spring them into action. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah, I don't know. What can I say? It's it's a funny joke. You can either be the fool who, complains and is laughed at, or you can become a jester and laugh with the joke. I choose to laugh with the joke, and at the end of the day,
I choose to be a naive fool. I choose to just embrace God and say, let me go where is written my name. Wherever you want me to be, I will be there. Whatever you want me to do, I will do. But that fucking thing, oh, it takes a lot of guts to actually fulfill what God asks out of you. Because He doesn't ask you to live a good, comfortable life. Well, it asks you to live a good life, in a sense, but not a comfortable one. Not a one in which you just can get by. The one that will require many sacrifices, but at your deathbed, you will be the most at peace, the more you followed God.
so basically, how do you prepare yourself for it? Well, in this case, I'm doing things called human design readings. So, what is human design? It's a system that basically reaches out and tells you, oh, you are a certain archetype. And what you can do is you can experiment with this given archetype and see what it does. And it gives you a strategy that you can follow and live your life more free of resistance. So if you'd be interested in this, DM me on X. I'm doing readings for people.
Yeah, I am projector, for example. So that's one type of aura you can have from the
Yes.
human design. And projectors have this very cool thing that I can basically get into your energy field and pierce you through in a way. And from that, I can see myself inside of you as a mirror. And when I lose myself inside of you, I am able to ask very good questions. So
And he
projectors are
really does.
fantastic. So projectors are fantastic at things like therapy, like coaching, and that's what I do also. So with that,
He
bye
does.
bye.
He does. No, no, no. I'm not going to stop. What he does is he takes the archetypes, for example, tarot, and he lays out the things which might come from your spirit. And actually, what he did for me, it was like eye-opening. So, for example, like I'm a manifestor. So where do I draw my energy from? How can I impact people? And which type of impact do I want to have on others? And he opened the eyes for me. So if you're interested in his side of things, so how can you spiritually really prepare yourself, really see yourself where you're going? DM Scray, and he's really going to take some deep look into you. And with
Yeah.
that, I think we can end. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.